What's going on, evening? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Mav bringing you to excuse me, another list video. Today's list video is every WrestleMania since 2000 ranked, and I'm going this and I'm attacking this on a tier by tier basis. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, first of all, I want to thank all of y'all for, getting us past 1.6K. You know what I'm saying? We are 20 more from 1.65K. You know what I'm saying? 2025 is going to be the road to 2K. You know what I'm saying? So, if y'all seeing this video, man, I just want you to know I love y'all and appreciate y'all, man. Y'all the evening. Y'all show out for me. You know what I'm saying? Even on stream this past Saturday, y'all definitely was in there turning up with me while I was playing the Jam Denim. So I figured I just beat a wrestling game, so why not make a wrestling list as a thank you? Now, before we get into this, I have one rule. I'm going into this tier style, and I'm only listing the WrestleManias in chronological. Like, I'm gonna show the grade, and I'm gonna show you which one chronologically would be the first I saw. Like, when I look at A-tier WrestleManias, you're gonna see a pattern of like you're gonna see a pattern. Let's say, for example, if I seen 16 through 19 first, 16 won't be the beginning of the S tier. 16 will be beginning of the average tier. And then 17 will go in its own tier, so on and so forth. How I present them is in chronological order on grade levels, not which one is better than whom on a grade level. So if you want to debate which one is better than whom, depending on grade level, then yeah. Because if you ask me, all of these WrestleManias, you know what I'm saying, for me, like, depending on grade level, are within the same tier of each other. So, but all different and all unique in their own ways. They all deliver in their own ways. But not to stall y'all any further, let's go ahead and dive right into the first tier. The GOAT tier, which means there are no misses. No misses. If you've been watching me, you already know which WrestleMania is going to take the cake. It's WrestleMania freaking 19.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
And I'm going to tell you why. There's no bad matches on here. No bad matches. Opening match for the Cruiserweight Championship. Fire. Taker versus Big Show and A-Train. A lot of people argue that was a bad match, but for me, I felt like if it was on SmackDown, it'd be a B+ match. Just like how it's on here, and it's seen as a C+ match. For me, I thought it was a great match. You know what I'm saying? What happened at the triple threat match for the Women's Championship? Fire as well. Shout out Trish Stratus for finally getting that dub at WrestleMania. Triple threat tag match for the WWE tag titles from the SmackDown brand. Extra heat. Especially the doggone spots of Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit literally carrying the match for a little while with their, technical wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Unpopular opinion, Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho. Amazing, high-end level match, but it wasn't the best match on this card. Nope. Still a great match, though. Told a great story, too. Triple H versus Booker T. I thought the match was very well executed. The match is not boring at all. Like, you seen Booker T literally do the Harlem somersault off the top rope on the Triple H's head. Amazing stuff. Ric Flair interfering. Amazing stuff. The only bad parts about it is Triple H waiting so long after a pedigree to pin Booker. That's the only bad thing about it. Other than that, the match was great. A lot of y'all feel like Booker T should have won. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like they built it up too hard for him to win, despite him not being as over as WWE expected him to be. So that's why they didn't let him be champion yet. Like, they wanted him to get like better crowd reactions, you know what I'm saying? Because like, even when he entered, the crowd wasn't going bananas like that when Booker T came on, you know what I'm saying? Other than that, me personally, the real missed opportunity of 2003 was them not putting the belt on Rob Van Dam. But then again, Rob Van Dam can't stay out of Rob Van Dam way. No Diddy on that one. Going to the A tier. Oh yeah, before I move on, I gotta clear something up. Hulk vs. Vince, fire, loved it. Rock vs. Stone Cold, best match on there. What a great way to send off the Attitude Era and, you know, truly usher in the real beginning of Ruthless Aggression, especially with the match that followed afterwards, which was Kurt Angle vs. Brock Lesnar. One of the greatest main events ever. Do not at me, bro. And Kurt was almost pulled out of the match. That match almost didn't happen. The Austin and Kurt Angle matches did not happen because Austin was in a hospital the night before because of a heart thing, and then Kurt Angle, you know what I'm saying, had neck problems. These matches almost didn't happen, but they happened. That's what made this Mania extra special to me. And then Brock damn near broke his neck on that missed shooting star press and had a concussion. And they still finished the match. Stuff for legend. Going into the A tier. I got WrestleMania X7. A lot of y'all gonna get mad at me, and I don't care. This Mania had like 3 bad matches on it. And I don't think, like, and mind you, the stuff that y'all had praised it for, definitely praiseworthy. I will admit, the stuff y'all the stuff y'all give it a lot of praise for, it gets its just due. It deserves its just due. But a lot of y'all seem to gloss over that there were some bad matches on this event. One of them was Taz and APA versus Right to Censor. The match was bad because it just didn't have enough time. Let's see. China and Ivory for the women's title was trash. Hated it. And even more importantly, the gimmick battle royal was trash because freaking Iron Sheik couldn't take no bumps. So he had to win by default. Trash. But other than that, a lot of good came out of this. The Intercontinental title match to open, solid. Kane winning the Hardcore Championship against Raven and Big Show, fire. Especially how they went around the whole arena. Eddie Guerrero versus Taz to win the European Championship was alright. It was alright. But Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit, amazing. Perfect. Shane versus Vince in a street fight with Mick Foley as the special guest. Art. Cinema. TLC 2, best match of the night. No argument. Undertaker vs. Triple H for the first time at WrestleMania. Amazing. Loved it. And the main event. Unpopular opinion, the match was great, but I hated how it ended. Because you can't turn Austin heel in his home state because nobody is going to boo. It didn't work. It didn't work. Anyway, moving on. That's why I think this WrestleMania is not the GOAT. 3 bad matches and a terrible decision to turn someone heel that shouldn't have been turning heel. And a pretty mediocre European Championship match. Other than that, great Mania. Loved it. WrestleMania 21 is another A-tier Mania. And I say this because There's really only one really bad match on here, and that's Big Show versus Akebono in that sumo match, because who the fuck wants to watch Big Show in a thong? I know I don't. You know what I'm saying? And this was Eddie Guerrero's last WrestleMania, and it's a little sentimental to me because he died in my hometown. Rest in peace, Latino. He did a great job putting Rey Mysterio over. You know what I'm saying? So I can't even get mad. This was the birth of the Money in the Bank match. So this is historic reference. That match was amazing. I also fuck with I really F with Undertaker versus Randy Orton. That match would have stole the show if it wasn't for another match on this card. Being Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels, which definitely was the match of the night right there. The women's championship was meh. Because Christy Hemme, she couldn't work worth a damn, so Trish had to carry a majority match, and the match ended up being short. It would have been Lita versus Trish, but Lita had to fuck around, and I think she tore her ACL in the previous year, so that's why they couldn't have Lita in there. And then the two main event matches were actually solid. I always go back to watch those because, like, this is WWE showing us these are the guys that are going to carry us going forward. Okay? Pay attention to them. Because they both would have pretty lengthy and pretty meaty title reigns. No diddy. So, yeah, man. Moving on to WrestleMania 24. This is another amazing WrestleMania. Excuse me. The only match I didn't really like on here was Kane versus Chavo for the ECW belt. I thought it was too short. Like the event could have did without it. And then, like, you know, you had other great matches to look at other than that. Like, you had the Belfast Brawl to open the event up was solid between JBL and Finlay. CM Punk won Money in the Bank, which was pretty good. Like, the match itself was pretty good. Like, this was supposed to be Jeff Hardy, but he couldn't stay out of his own way, and he was suspended, so he couldn't compete. So Chris Jericho had to take his place. Batista versus Umaga for brand supremacy was It was cool. It was cool. Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair stole the show. It was a banger. Ric Flair in the match was a banger. Bunny Mania Lumberjill match was if it weren't for certain spots like Jerry Lawler coming and decking the hell out of Santino Marella, and that match would have probably gotten a D from me, because half the match the lights were out. Randy Orton and defending the WWE Championship against Triple H and John Cena actually was pretty good, but I felt like it would have been a classic if it was given more time, because the match only lasted 15 minutes, because they had to make room for Floyd Mayweather knocking the hell out of Big Show. And I thought that was one of the better celebrity involvement matches that WrestleMania had for this period. And then the main event, Undertaker beating Edge for the World Heavyweight title. That match is awesome, legendary. You know what I'm saying? Like, having Edge tap out to the Hell's Gate after him reversing every other known move by the Undertaker and kicking out, amazing. Loved it. I always go back to this one. Coming up next on the 8th, here we have WrestleMania 28. This is still, from my memory, the highest grossing WrestleMania of all time, because everybody wanted to see that main event right there between Cena and The Rock, including me. The only really bad match on here was Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus for the world title. Like, I felt like that should have been given more time. Like, I'm pretty sure Daniel Bryan and Sheamus would have cooked if they were given more time. But other than that, there's a couple mid matches on here. Like Big Show versus Cody Rhodes for the Intercontinental title was Kelly and Maria Menounos versus Beth Phoenix and Eve. You know what I'm saying? Kane versus Randy Orton actually was pretty solid. the storyline feud wasn't very good. Like, the storyline going into it was very piss poor, but the match, it was watchable. Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker versus Triple H was fire. The one of two best matches of the night. One of the three best matches of this night. The Team Teddy versus Team Johnny was pretty alright. CM Punk versus Chris Jericho was awesome because Jericho is so good at using his character to storytell. Like, he was trying to get Punk disqualified on purpose. He's like, "Hey Punk, how's your father?" I'm like, oh my gosh, he's trying to egg him so much. And then you know how I feel about Rock versus John Cena. You already know. That's top 5 of my favorite matches of all time right there. Y'all already know how I felt. And WWE was going to turn John Cena heel after this, but you know what I'm saying, they pulled the plug on it. It was like, and we changed our mind. But yeah, man, this is a great WrestleMania, man. I definitely rewatched this because this definitely a step up from another WrestleMania that came before this one that I'm gonna get to in a while. But yeah, man. Moving on with the last of the 8-tier WrestleManias. I'm gonna put WrestleMania 40 on here. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because both of the main events of both nights so good. And then, like, the stuff in between, I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch felt pretty good. The 6-pack tag ladder match with both the SmackDown and Raw belts on the line, awesome. Rey Mysterio whooping the hell out of and Andrade whooping the hell out of Dominic and Santos was pretty alright. Jimmy and Jey Uso's match was pretty it wasn't absolutely terrible, but it wasn't all that good either. Jade Cargill and Bianca and Naomi versus Damage Control was pretty fire. You know what I'm saying? Sami Zayn versus Gunther to end his Intercontinental Championship reign, pretty damn good. I liked it, that one. And The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody and Seth Rollins, cinema. I like Rock going into his camera with the referee where he's like, "I will fire you if you count us out. Don't count us out and don't disqualify us." I loved it. Talk about politics. And then night 2, the World Heavyweight Championship match between Drew and Seth wasn't all that great. I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't all that great. It had some good spots, but it wasn't all that great because Seth Rollins went into it injured and he didn't look like himself. That's why I didn't really like it. And then, however, I did like the part where Damian Priest finally cashed in, and because CM Punk weakened Drew McIntyre, that was cinema. The Pride versus the Final Testament was actually pretty decent. LA Knight versus AJ Styles was very good. Logan Paul retaining the United States Championship against Kevin Owens and Randy Orton was actually very good and comical because I think IShowSpeed made a cameo up in here and got RKO'd. So Bayley and Io Sky's match was pretty fire, and the main event with all the guest appearances by John Cena and Undertaker, which I never saw coming. Cinema, art. And then, like, how it ended with Roman taking his eye off the ball and smacking Seth Rollins across the back with a chair as a callback to when Seth first did it to Roman. You know what I'm saying? Back in like 2016. Fire. No, not 2016. I'm sorry. 2014. Fire. I loved it. Loved it. And then Cody Rhodes with the 3 Crossroads, man. Say what you want to say, but that match is an absolute classic. I'll rewatch it so many times over if dared to. But that's the end of the A tiers. Now we're going into the B tier, the solid ones, which there was more than a few misses on the card. More than a few misses. First up, we got WrestleMania 18. I thought this WrestleMania actually it's still rewatchable. It's still rewatchable. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was nearing the end of the Attitude Era. Like, the opening match for Rob Van Dam winning the Intercontinental belt, pretty damn good. DDP vs. Christian, it was funny, but not memorable enough in terms of match quality, so it's like mid. The hardcore match between Maven and Goldust was kind of because Spike Dudley interfered and got the pinfall on Maven. But it did spark into one of the funniest bits of the show, which is everybody trying to get the hardcore championship. I especially loved it when Hurricane had the belt. That was funny when he was in the damn locker room with Godfather's hoes. Kurt Angle and Kang's match was pretty solid. I liked it, that one. Undertaker vs. Ric Flair in a no DQ match is arguably one of the most underrated streak matches of all time, if you ask me. Especially since we get a rare Arn Anderson appearance in this doggone match. I think both of them were busted open by the end of it too. I also love that part where Undertaker is counting out his 10 victories and then throwing his hands up like that. Pure cinema. Edge versus Booker T was ass. Thank you. It was trash. Stone Cold and Scott Hall was pretty below average too. And then the Fatal 4-Way for the tag titles was it was okay. I did like the part where Jeff Hardy slapped Safety Keebler on the butt. And I'm like, Jeff Hardy just like me for real. Let me stop. And we all know the best match on here is Rock vs. Hollywood Hogan. And then the last two matches to close the show, which was the triple threat match for the women's title, and then Triple H vs. Chris Jericho for the WWE title, both were pretty underwhelming. Mediocre at best. So that's why this goes in the solid. Like, it's rewatchable. It's comical. It's funny. But some parts where it was supposed to deliver, it didn't deliver. So yeah, man. Great Mania. Good Mania. Solid Mania. Another solid one is WrestleMania 20. Primarily because the last three matches definitely delivered. The opening match with John Cena and the Big Show definitely delivered. Both the Raw and SmackDown World Tag Team and WWE Tag Team Championship matches were pretty solid. I enjoyed those. Some good action was going on in those. Christian vs. Chris Jericho was damn good, especially the storytelling that they did with the Love Triangle with Trish Stratus. I liked that one. I still find it very infuriating that Chris Jericho has never won at WrestleMania as a babyface. But that's another rant for another video. Not this one. Damn, my nose itching like a mug. Then I did like, let me see what else was on here. I did like Evolution vs. Rock and Sock. I thought that was a very good match. Like, that's definitely on the high end of, you know, the best matches on this show. Because, like, you know, they did a very good job at putting over Evolution, especially, like, considering how many bumps Orton and Batista gave them. So, like, Orton was like the star of the match, in my opinion. Orton definitely was the star of the match. And then Ric Flair was comical, trying to steal the Rock's people's elbow. That usually never goes good unless you're Jeff Hardy. Anyway, the Playboy Evening Gown match was trash. It was just like if you just wanted to watch the Divas get half naked, that was the match for you. But I graded this match on quality, not just on eye candy. On an eye candy level, it's a perfect 10. But on a match quality level, it's straight up ass. No pun intended. Cruiserweight Open match was actually pretty good. Like the some of the action you saw, like Billy Kidman's springboard shooting star press off the top rope, which gave him a concussion, by the way. Amazing spot. Jamie Noble eliminating Funaki in 4 seconds. Amazing. Rey Mysterio and Jerry being the next to last two competitors in the match until Chavo Guerrero cheated by having his dad, Chavo Classic, help him. Amazing. And then, shout out Rey Mysterio for appearing as the Flash, by the way. Goldberg vs. Brock Lesnar was ass. Thank you. That's another match that was ass. Victoria and Molly Holly, it was underwhelming. It was mid. I did like how after it ended, Victoria chased her down to shave her head. I did like that part. That was funny. Eddie Guerrero, and like I said, the last 3 matches, Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle for the WWE Championship, amazing. Undertaker versus Kane, match quality wise, it was alright, but the overall moment of Undertaker coming back as the dead man and Kane being scared shitless in the middle of the ring on some parts, art, cinema. And then, do I gotta talk about Chris Benoit versus Triple H versus Shawn Michaels for the World Heavyweight Championship? Do I have to talk about why that match is legendary? I think we all know at this point. I think we all know. Moving on, WrestleMania 22. Now, granted, this mania right here is very memorable for some right and wrong reasons. One of those wrong reasons is that Boogeyman appeared in this WrestleMania. But there was a lot of solid matches on here, like Big Show and Kane defending the World Tag Team titles against Carlito and Chris Masters was pretty solid. The Money in the Bank match delivered as always. You know what I'm saying? Rob Van Dam came out on top, by the way. Fun fact, RVD is also undefeated at WrestleMania, but nobody talks about that. JBL versus Chris Benoit was pretty good, especially with how JBL cheated to get the United States Championship from him. Edge versus Mick Foley definitely stole the show. I mean, who could ever forget the spear through the flaming table? God, that must have hurt Mick Foley's back. Yeah, Boogeyman beating Booker T and Sharmell was ass. Thank you, because Boogeyman can't wrestle. However, that part of Boogeyman kissing Sharmell after he ate those worms was pretty funny, because Sharmell was so goddamn grossed out. Mickie James vs. Trish Stratus is actually my favorite match for the women's title in WrestleMania history. You know what I'm saying? Because the stalker storyline and her being a stan of Trish and stealing all her moves and kidnapping her best friend and all that. Loved it. Plus, around this time, I actually had a crush on Mickie James. Something about them southern white girls. Anyway, let me stop. Undertaker vs. Mark Henry actually wasn't all that great. It wasn't all that great, but it still was rewatchable. Shawn Michaels vs. Vince McMahon was damn good. Like, I felt like if any match would have stole the show, if Edge vs. Mick Foley didn't already do it, it'd definitely be this one. That elbow drop off the top, amazing. With the off the top of the ladder with Vince McMahon head in the doggone trash can. Stuff a legend. The triple threat match for the world title was damn good. I felt like it would have been better if it would lasted longer than 9 minutes, but still, they delivered. And this is the last WrestleMania we would ever see Perk Angle. Tori Wilson versus Candice Michelle was underwhelming. Didn't really care for it. It served the same purpose as the Eating Gown match. Like, if you just wanted to see 2 attractive white women get it on while being half naked, that's the match for you, but not for me. And then Triple H versus John Cena to close the show. Delivered on so many levels. Even though the crowd was booing the faces and cheering on the heels, this was a good WrestleMania. Very good. I'll still rewatch this one. Just like its sequel. I will definitely rewatch WrestleMania 23 as well. Very good WrestleMania. I still love it. You know what I'm saying? Definitely brought me back towards, what was the downward stroke, Diddy, on the ruthless aggression era. You know what I'm saying? Like, this card actually delivered on a lot of ends. Like, the Money in the Bank ladder match in this one is for WrestleMania Money in the Bank matches, this one is arguably top 3. Even though what resulted was pretty underwhelming because Mr. Kennedy had to go F around and get himself injured. Ugh. You know what I'm saying? And then Great Khali versus Kane was the lowest point of the show. Like, it was that match was so ass because Great Khali can't wrestle. We know that. Benoit in his last WrestleMania defended the U.S. Championship against MVP in their first of many championship matches for that belt. This match was solid, but their best match was at Judgment Day that year. The Originals versus the New Breed in an 8-man tag match for ECW Originals versus the New Breed. It was alright. A lot of New Breed felt kind of raw and green, but yeah. Battle of the Billionaires actually was very entertaining. I liked that match, primarily because of the outside shit that was going on. You know what I'm saying? And Stone Cold Steve Austin is a W guest referee. If WrestleMania 20 didn't teach you that, now you know. And shout out for Donald Trump for literally beating the shit out of Vince. And then Melina versus Ashley was kind of trash for the women's title was kind of trash. So that's why this WrestleMania didn't get an A for me. It's that match and Kane versus Khali. You know what I'm saying? That keep it from being an A. And then let's not forget the 2 World Heavyweight Championship matches. Undertaker versus Batista and John Cena versus Shawn Michaels definitely delivered on all cylinders. My favorite of the 2 would be Undertaker versus Batista. In fact, those 2 matches are primarily why I go back to this. Those 2 matches and the Money in the Bank match are the only reasons why I go back. And the Battle of Billionaires is a nice in-between. But it's primarily those 3 matches. So yeah, man, that's why this is solid WrestleMania. Solid. You know what else is solid? WrestleMania 31. I admit, there isn't any terrible matches. There isn't any terrible matches. What keeps this from being an A though is that certain outcomes didn't pay off. Well, I'm gonna go just barrel this down. The Intercontinental Championship match, the opening match, was pretty good. Even though Daniel Bryan would end up retiring shortly, maybe a few months after this, it left a sour taste in my mouth. Randy Orton beating Seth Rollins with that amazing RKO. Fire. Triple H versus Sting in a no DQ match was actually very good, primarily because of the DX and NWO appearances. But my problem is that the wrong person definitely won. But Sting wanted to put over Triple H for God knows what reason. But I heard Sting wanted to lose. So there's that. AJ and Paige versus the Bella Twins was actually pretty It was nothing too no worry. John Cena beat Rusev versus Rusev was actually kind of solid. Although they could have let Rusev win. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But if it wasn't for that, the John Cena United States Championship Open Challenge wouldn't have took place, and John Cena would have never introduced any newer, hotter talent. No diddy on that one. Undertaker vs. Bray Wyatt was pretty good, but Rollins cashing in during the main event between Roman and Brock Lesnar, cinema. But yeah, this one was solid. Like I said, AJ Lee and Paige, and then Triple H beating Sting. Not the best decision, but Sting wanted to lose. And Daniel Bryan winning the Intercontinental Championship only to, lose it and then retire. Sour taste. That's what kept this from getting an A for me. Moving on. I also put WrestleMania 35 in B. Despite it being 8 hours long, that's the only reason why it's not an A. It's 8 hours long. I actually enjoyed a lot of the matches on here. Well, let's go and get them out of the way. Well, Seth Rollins beating Brock in two minutes. I appreciated it because them two were not meant to have long matches. Like, Brock at this point is not meant to have a long match. So I appreciate it for what it was. But other than that, it was pretty ass. AJ Styles and Randy Orton's match was pretty fire. The Usos winning the SmackDown Tag Team Championship matches and the Fatal 4 match was pretty solid. Shane versus The Miz in a Falls Count Anywhere match was fantastic. Even though Shane won in the most Mickey Mouse way ever. Like, he got an arm over him while after The Miz superplexed him off like a big part of the stage, and then like Shane just got his arm over him and the ref counted the 3 count. I also like the Women's Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way match too, because I was a huge Iconics fan. Because Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, I loved them. Still do. But yeah, and then Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship stole the show. Like, we don't even need to get into it. Like, Kofi Mania was on a ride around this time. Didn't like Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio. That shit was ass. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre actually was pretty solid. Triple H finally beating Batista in a no-holds-barred match for the first time in his career was actually pretty good in order to retire Batista. I love that. Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin was ass. This is a terrible retirement match. Terrible idea for a retirement match for Kurt Angle. They should have got John Cena, who was at that event, but they used him to bury Elias. Damn it, Vince. That's another reason why this doesn't get an A. Demon Finn Balor beating Bobby Lashley actually was kind of... It was actually kind of good, but the problem was it was just too short. It was too short. But that's what this WrestleMania gets for being 8 hours long. And then the main event was solid, but the finish definitely brought it down. So yeah, man. Shout out Becky Lynch for actually, finally getting her main event spot. And I felt like also that Charlotte Flair didn't need to be a part of the match, but they had to give her something to do. They couldn't let one of their biggest stars go without something. So yeah, man. I think with that, we got a couple more B1s. WrestleMania 37 is also a very good mania for solid WrestleManias. You know what I'm saying? First of all, both main events for both nights were definitely delivered. Loved them both. Bianca Belair finally getting her shining moment at the expense of Sasha Banks. I applauded that with my whole entire heart. And the triple threat match in night 2 between Daniel Bryan and Edge and Roman Reigns, and for Roman to retain the Universal Belt, I'm like, we are fully into the Tribal Chief era. I'm invested. So I put my one up in there. But there were also some very good matches in between. Like on night 1, I did like Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley, especially after MVP distracted him for Bobby Lashley to get the win. Finally, a WrestleMania. Yet again, another WrestleMania where the black man is on top with the belt. Natalya and Tamina and winning the tag team turmoil match was actually pretty solid. You know what I'm saying? It was pretty solid. Cesaro vs. Seth Rollins was amazing. I just wish the payoff for it was better. AJ Styles and Omos beating the New Day, it was kind of because Omos can't really wrestle that good. Braun Strowman vs. Shane McMahon was actually pretty entertaining. Bad Bunny and Damian Priest beating the Miz and John Morrison was pretty good. Randy Orton vs. The Fiend is ass. I did not like it. The tag team championship, the women's tag team championship match in night 2 was actually pretty solid. Kevin Owens beating Sami Zayn was pretty good. Sheamus beating Riddle after Bro kicking him in the mouth, making him bleed for the U.S. Championship was actually pretty solid. I liked it. The Nigerian drum match for the Intercontinental Championship match, it was actually pretty entertaining. But the problem is it was too short. I felt like if they'd been given more time, they would have cooked longer. Rhea Ripley vs. Asuka was pretty awesome. Rhea Ripley got a crowning moment, and I was happy for her at this time. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, there's a lot of great things to appreciate about WrestleMania 37, considering that this was the WrestleMania that was fresh off the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to be honest with you guys, the sequels, like WrestleMania 38, was also very good. Reason why? It was the end of main event Brock, because we were getting tired at this point. I know I was. We were getting tired of that. And then number 1, that's number 1. Number 2, The tag team championship match, you know what I'm saying, between the Usos and Shinsuke Nakamura, Rick Boogs was pretty good to open up the show. You know what I'm saying? And then after that, having Drew McIntyre beat Happy Corbin was pretty satisfying, because Baron Corbin's character at this point was very stale. So yeah. Miz and Logan Paul beating the Mysterios is alright. Bianca beating Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship was damn good. I loved it. Because ever since SummerSlam of the previous year, Bianca has just had, you know, Becky in her head. You know what I'm saying? Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins was the match of the Mania for me. Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. Like, the match was good. It was good, I guess. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't all that memorable. So it gets like a C something for me. You know what I'm saying? And Stone Cold actually coming back to wrestle Kevin Owens in a no holds barred match was actually surprisingly very good. Like, I didn't expect Stone Cold to take a bump, but he did. And he got back up. Showed Kevin Owens who the master of the stunner really is. But yeah, man. Next match is on night 2. RK Bro retaining their Raw Tag Team Championships against the Street Profits and Alpha Academy. Solid. Bobby Lashley vs. Omos was because remember, Omos can't really wrestle like that. But for the moment, I would have to say, out of all of Omos's WrestleMania matches, this is probably the best one. Because, like, you wondered if Bobby, being the Almighty, would be strong enough to handle that big dude. But he did. Like, he picked him up with almost with ease. Johnny Knoxville with Sami Zayn was actually damn funny. I liked that match. Then the Fatal 4-Way for the women's tag title match was actually pretty alright. It was alright. Sasha Banks and Naomi definitely did carry. Edge and AJ Styles match, it was pretty good, but I kind of wish the ending was a bit more satisfying. Not bad for a dream match though. Sheamus and Ridge Holland versus the New Day was pretty decent. Not too memorable though. And Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory was very good too. But I just wish Mr. McMahon didn't get himself involved and make another bad match with him involved in it. I just wish that didn't happen. But yeah. And the main event actually was pretty solid. So yeah, this was a pretty solid WrestleMania. 39 was solid as well. 39 was solid as well. This doesn't get A treatment primarily because John Cena versus Theory was actually very bad. Like, I didn't like John Cena versus Theory. I didn't like Brock Lesnar versus Omos either. And then Miz and Logan Paul beating the Mysterios wasn't pretty. Oh, actually, no. That was 30. My bad. Because around this time in 39, Dominic was a heel. And he was getting his ass whooped by Rey Mysterio. Literally, like, Rey Mysterio literally took off his belt and whooped his son's ass in the middle of the ring. But yeah, man. The Fatal 4-Way Tag match in the men's showcase, was it needed? No. Did it deliver? Yeah, in some areas. It was spot heavy, but it wasn't all that memorable. Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul was actually very good. You know what I'm saying? Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch, and Lita going up against Damage Control also pretty much delivered. Even though I felt like Lita was kind of rusty, but still. And Rhea Ripley winning the SmackDown Women's Championship off Charlotte's Flair was so satisfying because at this time I'm sick of Charlotte. Pat McAfee beating The Miz was awesome. And Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn definitely delivered on that SmackDown Tag Team title match against not SmackDown, the WWE Undisputed Tag Titles against the Usos. Like, that match definitely delivered. And yeah, other than that, I mean, the women's WrestleMania showcase match was just like the men's one. Spot heavy, but not that great. Gunther versus Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, amazing. Loved it. Would watch that match over and over if I wanted to. Bianca Belair beating Asuka was, it was actually decent. It was decent. Nothing too memorable. And then you had Shane McMahon originally was supposed to go up against The Miz, but Shane McMahon tore his quads on the way out onto the ring. So Snoop Dogg decided to enter in the match instead of him and delivered one of the weirdest people's elbows I ever watched. So that match gets a D from me. Edge versus the Demon Finn Balor. I felt like Finn should have won here, but still the match was good. I felt like Finn should have won. That's another thing that kept it from me. I felt like Finn should have won. But yeah, man. Then the main event had a Mickey Mouse ending with Solo in a hoodie coming out. But other than that, pretty good. Pretty damn good. I'll rewatch that too for the sake of the story. Cody Rhodes story, that is. But yeah, that's it for the solids. C tier. Mid, which means there were several misses on the card. Starting off, WrestleMania 16, aka WrestleMania 2000. The only matches above average on here were the Triangle Ladder match, which was the match of the night. The main event, which is the Fatal 4 match for the WWE Championship. And the 2-fall triple threat match for the Euro-Continental Championships, which is the European and Euro-Continental Championships, because Kurt Angle was defending against the Chris's, Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit. Those are the only matches above average that were on there. Other than that, every match on here is either average or below average. Especially that damn Terry vs. the Cat. That shit was ass. Actually, no, I take that back. The Hardcore Battle Royal actually was entertaining. Because there was a whole lot of chaos. Like, there were fans, you know what I'm saying? Jim Ross's candy jar was getting broken, and, you know what I'm saying? It was a lot of madness, and it had a controversial ending, too, so. What else? What else was on here? You had TNA going up against Head Cheese, which was mediocre. Eddie Guerrero losing. Eddie Guerrero and the rest of the Radicals, Perry Saturn and Dean Malenko, losing to China. And Grandmaster Sexay and Scotty 2 Hotty was definitely pretty mediocre. Rikishi and Kane beating D-Generation X, being Road Dogg and X-Pac, was pretty. Like, the only thing I know about the match was the post match ass kicking that Kane gave Pete Rose. What else was on here? I'm trying to go from memory so I don't have to look at my phone. I think that was pretty much it. Oh, yeah. The opening match. The Godfather and Big Boss Man, rest in peace. Went 2-on-2 with their respective tag team partners, being you had Bull Buchanan teaming up with Big Boss Man, and you had D'Lo Brown teaming up with Godfather. I feel like Godfather and D'Lo Brown should have won. That's how I felt. But can't do nothing to change that. Can't do nothing to change that at all. Let's move forward. Let me see if I missed a match. Did I miss a match? You know, I'll never forget D-Lo's theme. You're looking at the real deal now. Alright, I didn't miss a match. So, moving on. The first WrestleMania I ever watched, WrestleMania 25. Look, this has my favorite match ever in this one, and that's Undertaker vs. Shawn Michaels. Y'all know how goated that match is to me. But there's a lot of mud and trash on here. Where do I begin? Well, first off, that Miss WrestleMania 25 Divas Battle Royal, trash. I'm blinking. The Intercontinental Championship match, trash. Lasted too short. The handicap match with Chris Jericho versus the Legends, mediocre. Not very good. The main event for the WWE Championship, trash. Underwhelming. Underperformed. Not good. The only good spots was when the referee was knocked out and Triple H actually used the sledgehammer. And he stole Randy Orton's punt to the head. And on top of that, another thing that made this match so bad is that Triple H went for the pedigree way too early. So yeah. Other than that, there were some solid matches on here. Money in the Bank match definitely delivered, even though CM Punk won back to back. It should have been Shelton Benjamin one of these times, but can't change that. World Heavyweight Championship match was alright. And like I said, Undertaker vs. Shawn Michaels still the cake for the show. But the most underrated match on the show is actually Matt and Jeff Hardy's brother vs. brother Extreme Rules match. That's the most underrated match on the show. Like, the bumps that Jeff took, amazing. And then how it ended with Jeff missing the leapfrog leg drop that high. And then Matt putting his head through the chair. And then him doing a twist of fate with his neck attached to it. I'm like, oh, he just broke his brother's neck. Oh my God. Amazing. It was kind of shocking too. I'm like, does Matt really hate his brother like this? Mind you, I'm a 9-year-old kid watching this, so that was the main question I asked. But other than that, WrestleMania has some mid on it. It's still rewatchable, but be prepared to soak the mid in. Okay. Sadly, its sequel, WrestleMania 26, wasn't any better. It wasn't. Like, the only really spectacular standout matches on here, where obviously Undertaker vs. Shawn Michaels clears the table again, Chris Jericho vs. Edge, and John Cena vs. Batista. And that's really the only noteworthy matches on here that were like A and above. Everything else is like a B and below. Like Showbiz versus R-Truth and John Morrison for the Unified Tag Belts was underwhelming. The Legacy Triple Threat match actually was kind of solid because, you know, it solidified Randy Orton turning face. Jack Swagger winning the Money in the Bank, in my opinion, wasn't the correct decision here. Like, I felt like either Christian should have got it, or since Shelton Benjamin was in it, maybe he should have got it. Dolph Ziggler, maybe. But nah, Jack Swagger was too damn green and too boring on the microphone for me. But regardless, that Money in the Bank match was pretty good because, like, you had Kofi using the ladders as stilts and freaking Evan Bourne doing airbornes off the ladders and all that. He's solid. Triple H versus Sheamus was alright. Primarily because Sheamus is inexperienced, and this is Triple H's last WrestleMania as a full-timer in WWE. Rey Mysterio vs. CM Punk was pretty solid because of the Straight Edge Society pledge on the line, and that made Rey Mysterio go way harder in this match. The worst match on here is easily Bret Hart vs. Vince in a no-holds bar lumberjack match. And then right next to that is the 10 Diva Tag match where Alicia Fox, Laycool, Maurice, and Vic Guerrero beat Beth Phoenix, Eve, Gail Kim, Kelly Kelly, and Mickie James. With Vicky Guerrero performing the worst version of a frog splash I had ever seen. But anyway, moving forward. WrestleMania 29 is actually pretty mid. Actually, it is the definition of mid. Because the only very good match on here is the only very good matches on here are The Shield versus Big Show, Sheamus, and Randy Orton, because they put over The Shield very good. Team Hell No beating Big E and Dolph Ziggler for the tag titles was pretty good. Surprisingly, Alberto Del Rio and Jack Swagger actually was pretty solid for the World Heavyweight Championship. Was pretty solid. But the best match on here is Undertaker vs. CM Punk. But yeah, man, other than that, there's a lot of underwhelming matches on here. Like Mark Henry vs. Ryback was trash. Fandango vs. Chris Jericho was mediocre. Plus the wrong person won. WWE. Take advantage of Chris Jericho when he's face. For once at a WrestleMania. Triple H versus Brock Lesnar was pretty mid too, despite it being a no-holds bar match. And then John Cena versus The Rock for the WWE Championship wasn't as good as WrestleMania 28's. So yeah, that's why it's mid. And unpopular opinion, this show here was mid too. This was mid too. You want to know why? Because the only memorable match on here, the only high-end matches on here were the opening match between Daniel Bryan and Triple H, and him later going on to win the WWE Championship in that triple threat match against Randy Orton and Batista. Those are the only very good matches on here. Every other match in between, average or below average. Like, for example, The Shield beating Kane and New Age Outlaws, average. Cesaro winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, average. John Cena beating Bray Wyatt, wrong person won, average. Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker to finally end the streak, trash. Vicky Guerrero Invitational for the Divas Championship, where AJ Lee pretty much beat every diva on the roster at that point, main roster. Mediocre. So that's why it gets a mid from me. Like this whole event as a whole didn't deliver in so many ways. Like, it's only there for the first match and the last match. And if you want to count Undertaker versus Brock being a moment, sure. But the wrong people won in some of these matches. The wrong people won. That's why it's mid. WrestleMania 33 actually was pretty mid too. Because, like, it was another one of those long, heavy stocked WrestleManias that had crap tons of matches. Like, this was the beginning of WWE signing to be like, look, we gotta condense these into nights. But they didn't do it until later. The only very good, memorable matches on here were AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon, the Hardy Boys coming back to win the Raw Tag Titles, Seth Rollins beating Triple H, and other than that, that's pretty much it as far as the matches that were like an A and above. Everything else is like B and below. I will say this though, I thought Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho for the US belt was pretty solid. Even though WWE does not like the idea of face Chris Jericho winning anything at WrestleMania. I stood by Chris Jericho when he got mad at that against Vince, and that's why he went to AEW. Bayley winning retaining the Raw Women's Championship actually was pretty good against Nia Jax, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte Flair. That was pretty good. John Cena and Nikki Bella versus The Miz and Maurice was trash. Thank you. It was trash. Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt for the WWE Championship was underwhelming. Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. For the short time it was worth, I'm glad it was very short, but still mediocre because it was repetitive. The only good part about that match is that spear that Brock Lesnar ate through the barricade. The six-pack challenge match for the SmackDown Women's title where Naomi beat everybody, like Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, Carmella, Mickie James, and Natalya. Underwhelming. And then Roman Reigns versus Undertaker was mediocre too. Like, the latter half of the card was just mediocre. That's why this is here. And you know what? You can say the same thing about a sequel too, because this was pretty mediocre. WrestleMania 34 was very mediocre. Like, how you gonna put Undertaker and John Cena in a squash match? Granted, it was a better squash match that I'm used to seeing, but y'all could have gave him more time. It would have been a banger. It would have been an absolute banger. Anyway, moving forward. The worst match on here is easily the main event. The main event was trash. And even the match before the main event, which was Braun Strowman and that kid beating the bar for the Raw Tag Team titles, was trash. You know what I'm saying? AJ Styles beating Shinsuke Nakamura for WWE Championship was underwhelming. Nia Jax beating Alexa Bliss actually was a good moment, but it was still pretty underwhelming because Nia Jax was still kind of green, in my opinion. I did like Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. That was good. And I did like the Bludgeon Brothers winning the SmackDown Tag Team titles because I felt like they really needed that. That was good. Jinder Mahal winning the United States Championship off of Randy Orton, Bobby Roode, and Rusev. It was pretty solid, I guess, but it wasn't too memorable. The wrong person won, but at least Jeff Hardy got the belt like literally a week later on my birthday. Charlotte Flair versus Asuka actually was damn good. Like, the quality of the match is good, but the wrong person won. So that's why this WrestleMania is not solid. The wrong person won. The Triple Threat match to open it was also a very great, damn near classic match. But the best match on here is Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. That's the best match on here. My personal opinion. Do with it what you will. But it doesn't take away from the fact that this WrestleMania was still pretty mid. Because the latter half of the card drove it off of a cliff. Oh yeah, and but yeah, man. And the fact that they brought her back to New Orleans after 4 years of being away from there, lazy. And then last of the mid WrestleManias is WrestleMania 36, aka COVID Mania, and the only reason why it isn't in the below average is because the two cinematic matches really delivered here. The two cinematic matches delivered here. The Firefly Funhouse match felt like a big fourth wall break, and I loved it. And the Boneyard match, which would be Undertaker's last match, perfect way to send off the 30-year career of the dead man. Perfect way. Can't think of anything better. Can't think of any way better. However, this Mania is in this tier list because the lack of a crowd made it feel so weird. But in terms of match quality, you got some solid matches on here. You got Elias beating King Corbin. You know what I'm saying? You got your Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross beating the Kabuki Warriors. You know, it was pretty decent. Sami Zayn and Cesaro. With Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura in this quarter beating Daniel Bryan for the Intercontinental Championship was actually pretty decent. I did like the triple threat match, ladder match for the SmackDown tag titles, in which John Morrison ended up winning. I was hoping he would beat Jimmy Uso and Kofi Kingston. I was hoping for that. Because I was a big fan of where we come to be as Johnny Drip Drip. I loved Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins match in terms of quality, but I felt like if there was a crowd there, they would have went bananas. And Braun Strowman vs. Goldberg was trash. Thank you, but at least the right person won that match. And then Becky Lynch beating Shayna Baszler. I felt like it wasn't given enough time, but at the same time, the wrong person won. Because Shayna Baszler was hot. Like, y'all just squandered her momentum for no reason, WWE. Then in night 2, didn't like that Charlotte beat Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's Championship. I thought Rhea Ripley should have retained. Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley. Weird, but not all that. Otis beating Dolph Ziggler felt good, but still not that memorable. Edge vs. Randy Orton actually was pretty doggone good because they was fighting everywhere, up and down and all around the Performance Center. You know what I'm saying? Unpopular opinion, I know, but yeah. Raw Tag Team title match, it was decent. I did like that the Street Profits retained. Other than that, it was decent. I did like the Fatal 5-way elimination match between the Bayley, Sasha Banks, Lacey Evans, Naomi, and Tamina. I thought that match was pretty good, especially Lacey Evans. This was Lacey Evans' coming out party because, man, she put on an amazing performance. It's kind of upsetting that post-pandemic, they didn't really do much with Lacey Evans. She had a lot of potential. But anyway. And then Drew McIntyre beating Brock, I had no problems with. I just wish the quality of the match was, I gave it a B- because I love the moment Drew got, but it would have been way better if there was a crowd there. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. Other than that, this was mid. Like, this is a mid WrestleMania. Like, a lot of the stuff is forgettable. At least WWE caught the hint that they needed to go 2 nights. But yeah, moving forward. Then we got the below average, which means there was a lot of misses. And there's only one WrestleMania that's in here. There's only one WrestleMania that's in here. You want to know what that is? It's WrestleMania 32. And the reason why is because this WrestleMania was marred with injuries. John Cena was out. Randy Orton was out. Seth Rollins was out. You know what I'm saying? So you didn't really have so much star power, to rely on to carry this WrestleMania like that. You didn't have a lot of star power, so you were kind of doomed. So let me just rip through it real quick. I did like Zack Ryder winning the Intercontinental Championship. That was a great match. Chris Jericho beating AJ Styles. I mean, yeah, the wrong person won, but still, it was a great match nonetheless. The wrong person won, though. Still my favorite of the matches because, I wanted to see the GOAT himself, Chris Jericho, finally get a dub at WrestleMania. And it happened, and I was satisfied. League of Nations versus New Day was kind of whack. Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose and a no-holds bar match was trash. It was ass. The street fight, it was ass. I don't know how many freaking chairs was in that ring. Didn't need to be all them chairs. The triple threat match for the Women's Championship actually delivered on so many ways. Like, that match was good. I liked it, that match. Kind of wish Charlotte didn't win it, but hey, I can't get mad. Because at this time, I wasn't quite sick of Charlotte yet. I didn't get sick of Charlotte until like 2 years later. So yeah, man. The Hell in a Cell match with Taker and Shane was mediocre. Arguably one of the worst Taker Hell in a Cell matches of his time. So yeah, there's that. I did like the promo that they had where Taker was like, from the very day you were born, you've always been your daddy's bitch. Baron Corbin beating Kane by last eliminate Kane to win the Andre Giant Memorial Trophy was Rock versus Eric Rowan was trash because it was too short, but it did give birth to John Cena returning and helping The Rock against the Wyatt family, so that was decent. And Roman Reigns beating Triple H for the WWE title. That match was ass too. It's always with these 30s that it's the latter half of the card. Like after 31, it's always the latter half of the card that just plummets the identity of the show from starting off hot to running out of gas. And like I said, this WrestleMania was cursed by injuries. But what more can you say? That one there's no other entry for that one. The last tier is the F tier, which is garbage. You skip the whole show, and there's just really one WrestleMania, and that's here. And that's WrestleMania 27. This whole show, man, my cousin felt like he wasted his money on this, because this was the second WrestleMania I watched live. The Rock coming back could not save this show for what it was. Like, the only good matches on here were Edge versus Alberto Del Rio, which would be his last for a while. Edge versus Alberto Del Rio. Randy Orton versus CM Punk. And Undertaker versus Triple H. And then as an honorable mention, I'll throw in Cody Rhodes versus Rey Mysterio, because that actually kept my eyes glued. Because Rey Mysterio was dressed as Captain America, and Cody Rhodes was in his bag with the whole undashing gimmick. I like the undashing gimmick and theme song. But other than that, man, everything else about this WrestleMania, trash. Let's go over it. The 8-man tag match, Big Show, Kane, Kofi, Santino versus The Core, trash. Michael Cole versus Jerry Lawler, the worst match on this card, trash. John Morrison, Snooki, and Trish Stratus versus Dolph Ziggler and Lay Cool, absolutely garbage. And the main event, 2 packs of ass. 2 packs of it.
That shit is a 2-pack of ass. The fuck are you talking about? That shit stinks.
Why did they have Miz as the WWE champion? Why? And he felt like such a third wheel to John Cena and The Rock's feud. Ugh. Why, Vince? Why did you think this was okay? Nobody liked The Miz around this time. Ugh. Why couldn't he just lose the belt at Elimination Chamber? Why? Ugh. And then, like, it was going to end on double countout. That's how bad this match was. It was going to end on double countout. And then The Rock was like, hell no. We're going to restart this match. And then he just rock bottom Cena to set up next year's main event. That's That's the only time this has happened, where a match in the previous year's main event sets up the next year's main event. That's crazy work. Crazy work. But yeah, man. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so never ever upload. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Well, actually, I'll see you all next week for my next video. Till then, I love you all. Take care. Deuces.